It's hump day. It's hump day. Hey, yo, what up, world, and welcome to another edition of the Living the Dream podcast. I'm your host, as always, Coach Spaulding. And once again, it wouldn't be right if I didn't give a shout out to all my listeners, man. Thank you. Thank you to all my listeners for the love, the support, the emails, the text messages, the phone calls, just however you reach out, however you've been reaching out, man. Thank you, and thank you. Also want to give a special shout out to the Time Out with Michael podcast. It's a podcast where they talk about any and everything. And trust me, they talk about any and everything. Again, that's the Time Out with Michael podcast on YouTube, man. Y'all check them boys out. So with that being said, let's get it popping. Today, I'm excited to give y'all this message, man. Today, I want to talk about something I keep hearing from parents, from teachers, from administrators, and from some district leaders, man, no matter what grade level, and that is, how do you get these kids to stay focused? How do you get them to stay focused? Apparently, this is one of the biggest issues that teachers are having. This is an issue that parents are having when it comes to handling students and just teenagers in general. So I'm going to give you guys some principles on what I believe will help you get the most out of these students in school and in life. All right, so here we go. So principle number 1, have them write their goals down every single day. Like, you got to have them write it down every single day. For my teachers, have them write it down on a piece of paper and keep it in front of them throughout the duration of the class. Have them write it down on a piece of paper and keep it in front of them throughout the duration of the class, guys. This is important. I want you to hear this, and I want you to get this. For my parents, have them write it down on the mirror every single day. Or have them write it down on the mirror once a week and never wipe it off. They need to see it every single day, because just like their phones, their dreams and their goals needs to be in their face. This keeps everything in perspective. This significantly improves their focus. It's easier to set other things aside when you know what you should be focusing on. Like, it's just a lot easier to set other crap aside when you know exactly what you should be focusing on. Written goals help you have a clear focus and stay on track. I mean, that's just a proven fact, man. It's one thing to know what you want. It's one thing to dream about what you want, but it's a totally different animal when you write it down. That's an action. That means you're taking responsibility to make this thing happen. Now you're moving, as opposed to just thinking, wishing, hoping, and dreaming for it. Now you're putting in an action with it. Now, I'll be honest with you. I want y'all to hear this. Now, I'll be honest with you. They won't like it. They not going to like it, man. You tell a kid to do something 365 days, it's going to be some struggles. You know, that means you might hear him say, this is stupid, or this don't make sense, or I don't feel like it, or why am I doing this in the first place? And when you hear that, because you probably will. Let's just be real. Like you probably will ask them, why not? Like, why not write down what you said you wanted to do? Like, lip service is cool, but when you start moving on it, when you start writing it down, when you start journaling things, like it's a whole different dynamic. It's a whole different dynamic. And then remind them that this is what they wanted. This is what they wanted, not you. This is something that they wanted to become. This is something that they wanted to accomplish. This is something that they dreamt about, not you. Which brings me to my next principle, man. Have them self-assess themselves. Like, have them self-assess themselves. And this is more for my teachers, man. Students who don't care about their work may become more involved when they're grading or critiquing themselves. I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, I've seen it as a substitute teacher and as a school counselor, man. I've seen students flourish when they're able to grade their own papers, or flourish when they're able to critique themselves. Like, for my teachers, I get it. Like, I get it, man. It's hard to trust these students, to be honest, with others, let alone with themselves. But you have to continue to give them an opportunity to display character. You have got to give them an opportunity to display character. This allows students to allow students to grade their own paper sometimes. Have them write down 2 or 3 things they could have done differently on their own that would have made their learning more effective. Not what the teacher could have done differently, not what they classmates could have done differently, but what they personally could have done differently that would have made their learning experience a little more effective. I'll give you an example. If I was a disruptive student, if I stayed seated, I wouldn't have got kicked out of class. If I turned in something, I wouldn't have gotten a 0. I would have gotten maybe a C or a D, but I wouldn't have gotten an automatic 0. And we already know an automatic 0 is an automatic F. So have them take that accountability on themselves. Even for my parents, ask your student what they could have done differently today. Like in general, like what could you have done differently today? Now, some of them may get offended and think that you're trying to pick on them, but this allows them to think back on their behaviors and actions on that day and be honest about what they did wrong and how they could have responded differently in that situation. I'm gonna say it again, like this allows them to think back on their behaviors and actions on that day and be honest about what they did wrong and how they could have responded differently in that situation. And I'm gonna be honest with you, what I've learned about students self-assessing is that they take control of their own learning. They develop more independently, and most importantly, they build that thing called character, man. They build character because that's something that has to be nurtured. That's something that has to be developed. That's not God-given. Unfortunately, character is not God-given. That is something that you have to work on. Character is something that you have to work on, which brings me to my last principle. Hold them accountable. This is very important. And I'm especially talking to my parents, man. Be their coach and not their friend. Be their coach and not their friend. I get so pissed off when parents think that they have to be their child's friend and not their parent. Like they get so scared that their child is not going to respond the way that they want to. Or they get so paranoid that they think their child is not going to respond in a different manner because you feel like you got to be their friend. It's hard for a kid to be held accountable when they think of you as a friend. Like, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work if you're your son's friend. It's not going to work if you're your daughter's friend. Hey, good luck with that. Tell me how that's been working out for you. For all my parents who friends with their children, please tell me how that's been working out for you. Please tell me that they're the most respectful kids ever. Like I don't see it. I don't see how that's working out because they don't learn character in that manner. They don't learn how to hold themselves accountable. That's just not what happens. So remind them about those dreams and the goals they wrote down. You got to remind them. Remind them about the dreams and the goals they wrote down. Ask them if the behavior and actions that they're engaging in and giving them immediate gratification is going to help them to get to what they wrote down. I'm going to say it again because I don't want you to miss this. Ask your students if the behavior or actions that they are engaging in and giving them immediate gratification is going to help them to get to what they wrote down. Ask them. Ask them and see what happens. It's crazy, man. It's crazy because my daughter wants to go to Stanford, right? And whenever she does something out of line, I say something like, that's not Stanford material. Or I say something like, Stanford ain't going for that. You ain't going nowhere with that attitude. Like I tell her that, man, and I tell you what, man, as much as she hates when I say it, it works. She changes her behavior. It forces her to think about what she wrote down on that mirror. That's all it does. It doesn't bring her down. It doesn't, and I don't say that to bring her down. I don't say that to make her feel some type of way, but I want her to refocus. I want her to rethink what she's doing and be able to think about the things that she said that she wanted to become. Students and teenagers need constant reminders about their dreams and their goals. They need constant reminders, and that's where we come in as parents. That's where we come in as teachers. That's where we come in as administrators on holding them accountable. Again, it's your motivator, your inspirator, Coach Spaulding, saying have a great rest of the week and make the rest of your life the best of your life. I'm out.